A dominant, and I mean truly dominant, domination station, Jimmy Johnson style, prime Jimmy Johnson style at Dover is what I'm thinking about. Kyle Larson just kills the field at Bristol and wins by leading 493 laps. And congratulations to him. And listen, I am a Hendrick fan, so I should be. But guys, that's the race review. What else do you want me to say? I mean, it was, oh man, wow. That is a Bristol night race that I guarantee you not a lot of people other than Kyle Larson and his team, Kyle Larson fans, are going to remember. It really showcased every problem with the next gen car. It put everything on the table there. It said here, this is what you got. Again, at a racetrack that I do not have complaints at. Like, of course, would we want the old style of Bristol, but there's a way to bring the old style of Bristol back with the PJ1 and the recent and everything. So that's fine. The racetrack is not the issue. Same as last week, Watkins Glen. The racetrack is not the issue. Same as we head over to other racetracks in this playoffs round, whether it be Kansas, whether it be the Roval, Martinsville. You know, again, not the problem. Those racetracks are great racetracks. This race car, this was the worst race for the next gen car. The worst. It showcased every problem with it, and it really made it pretty hard to watch. I watched every single lap of this race. I did not look away. I did not go on social media. Like, I was locked in tonight. I was locked into the race. I wasn't watching anything else on a second monitor or anything. And so I was watching everything, like whether it be the adventures of Daniel Suarez being the worst race car I've ever seen, whether it be Martin Truex Jr. deciding to make a just terrible mistake on the final pit stop, which actually the final pit stop was with 150 or something to go. Yeah, that it was just a crazy night. And what I mean crazy, I mean it was crazy to watch nothing happening. I was actually shocked. I was very surprised that this is how it was going on. There were some decent battles behind Larson for second, third, fourth, fifth. You know, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott later on in the race, Truex before he got the speeding penalty, Chase Briscoe. The guys that qualified up front, they ran up front, they battled up front. So that was a little bit interesting, whether the high line, the low line, getting around traffic. I've never seen it that difficult to pass at Bristol, and it is just another reason why this race car has just a lot of problems. And I guess we'll just like list them off real quick. You know, and all of these, there's not one issue. That's the problem that NASCAR has. That's why I'm worried. I'm genuinely worried. I said last week we should just put the Xfinity car in for short tracks and road courses. I reiterate, I think that is the way to go. I'm being honest. I to change the next gen car in order to make the short track racing and the road course racing to a good quality, you'd need to change the entire car. I mean, it's not as simple as remove the tapered spacer, give the cars 900 horsepower, and everything will be fine. It's not that. That's not going to solve really the aerodynamic issues that this race car has, but also the fundamental reasonings why this car was made is also a fundamental issue of the car. The race teams wanted more parity. Right, you wanted a Rick Ware Racing, Aspire Motorsports, Trackhouse just coming in, 23XI just coming in, single car teams, 2-car race teams, Front Row Motorsports, for example. You want them to have just as much of a chance as the Hendrick Motorsports, the Joe Gibbs Racing, the Penske Racing, right? There's a reason, in all of NASCAR history that there have been dominant race teams and whether they spend the most money, they have the most resources. So it was NASCAR's idea to maybe limit the resources, to spec out the race car. And in terms of specking out the race car, you have created just no movement. It is a race car that does have differences. Obviously, Kyle Larson led 493 laps. He was the fastest car in the field. But the differences are small, and the bigger teams are still going to get that advantage because they will still pump as much money as need be into the resources that they have. So all you've done is you have narrowed the field in terms of the competition spread, but nothing has changed. And if you're trying to nerf Hendrick Motorsports or nerf Joe Gibbs Racing, that was never going to happen. We all knew that as well. When the next gen car was coming in and we heard about how it would be closer racing, we all knew that, okay, it might be closer, but it's not going to be like, you're not going to miraculously take a driver with 30th place talent in a 30th place car, and then he's going to battle for top 10s consistently. There is an order of operations here. There is talent levels, team levels, car levels, and even though you narrow it up with a spec race car, there will still be differences. All you've done is made the differences narrower, which means it's just and you have a race car that is harder to pass, and everyone is going the same speed with a tire that does not wear, and you have the perfect combination of what happened tonight at Bristol, which was 170 laps towards the end of that race with little to no tire fall off. Everyone just running around the racetrack, pick a bottom lane, pick a top lane, find where you can go where the car in front of you isn't, and just run around the racetrack like a bunch of rats on a wheel, like a mouse on a wheel or something. That's basically what this race was towards the end. It showcased every issue the next gen car has with dirty air. It showcased the issues the next gen car has at short tracks, and how race cars, drivers cannot get up to one another and really race. We had more fans arguing on social media than drivers having any sort of argument on the racetrack at Bristol in a night race in the playoffs. This is just not the scenario. We have had situations with this playoff format that have caused drama or, fights and stuff like that. But, this race car does not really compute to that bump and run-esque short track racing that at least I grew up on and I absolutely love. You cannot bump and run in this race car. You cannot really get close in this race car. The only chance you have is to go to a different line, which is why, whether you have the Bristol PJ1, whether you have the Martinsville going around the bottom because Martinsville's a one-lane track, whether you have Watkins Glen, which is a road course, or Sonoma, which is a road course, or any other road course that's a one-lane track, this car suffers. You go to Kansas where it's a multi-groove racetrack and it's able to hide basically the issues of this race car. And then at that racetrack, this race car is able to perform better than the previous gen car because of the lack of side force. So you have less side force in the car. You can't really get up to anyone behind them. The less side force is a good thing for mile and a half and intermediate tracks, but it's kind of a bad thing really for everywhere else, because at a track like Bristol, you just end up running. I mean, the amount of times I saw Kyle Larson having to pass 30th place, and it took 15 laps to do so, was kind of crazy to watch, honestly. It was, and it wasn't just like that for Larson. It was like that for the entire field. It was just simply you catch someone and you are stuck. Martin Truex Jr. ran top 3 the entire race today. And with that speeding penalty, it was over. I think the race team knew. I think he knew you were not going to come back from that. And Martin Truex Jr. did not come back. He didn't even make up a spot. He was running top 3 all night long in a JGR car. Denny Hamlin was strong. Bubba Wallace was strong. Martin Truex Jr. was strong. Ty Gibbs ran top 10. So, yeah, those cars were pretty strong all night long. You put that Martin Truex Jr. car back in 24th, nothing. Didn't move. It honestly is kind of crazy to watch, and it's sad. It really is. I'm not even angry. I'm not angry. That's the thing, guys. I'm not angry. I'm worried. I'm worried because there are too many things you need to change in order to make this race car better at the short tracks. And it's not as simple as, change the schedule and stuff. No, the schedule is fine. Guys, the schedule is fine. The racetracks are fine. Bristol is a good racetrack. The road courses are good racetracks. Martinsville is the best racetrack on the circuit. Like, it is not a racetrack issue. It is simply NASCAR has really screwed up with this race car at specific racetracks. And, next week, I'm very positive, guys. I'm very positive that I'm going to come on here and you guys are going to have a great time. I'm going to have a great time watching the race. I think Kansas is going to be a great race. I really do. Kansas is it's top 3 racetracks right now in NASCAR currently, with how it is just, the surface has worn out. But the next gen car will perform at that racetrack. You will be able to pass at that racetrack. You will be able to race at that racetrack because you don't really got to worry about the side force and the side drafting that much. And with the closer racing, you will get, pack racing, but not pack racing. It'll be a fun race. And then you're going to go to Talladega, and that should be a fun race. And then you're going to go to the Roval, and it's going to be terrible. And then you're going to go to, Martinsville. It's going to be terrible. You're going to go to Phoenix. Everyone's got the same complaints about Phoenix they've had the last, 2 years, 3 years. It's very predictable, honestly. Like this playoff, the only thing that's keeping me entertained is not the racing quality. It is, okay, who's going to make the championship race, who's going to win the championship. If this was regular season racing, it'd be even worse because you don't have the playoff standings to keep an eye on. the most entertainment I had today was watching Daniel Suarez run 33rd. That was the most entertainment I had. I was like, how the hell is he that bad? And I found it entertaining to watch Suarez just to fight for his life to make the next round. And he ended up doing so. And that's saying something because there was no other action on the racetrack. Denny Hamlin ran in the top 10 all day long. William Byron around there all day long. Alex Bowman all day long. Christopher Bell, same thing, all day long. Chase Elliott, top 10 all day long. There was nobody that really was able to make a move anywhere. Ryan Blaney was the one guy maybe that was able to pass some cars, and then he just kind of hit a wall as well, at that point. So, yeah, it was an unfortunate race. One of the most anticlimactic, Bristol races I've ever seen. And yeah, just pretty sad, to be honest. Next round, we have Kansas, Talladega, and the Roval. Let's pull up the playoff results because I don't even know. I mean, we could pull up. To be honest, guys, the race results are meaningless. Kyle Larson led the entire race, and it is about who made the next round. So, Ty Gibbs, Martin Truex Jr., Harrison Burton, and Brad Keselowski. Harrison Burton and Brad Keselowski, you could have written them off after lap 10. They were done. It was over. Harrison Burton, probably lap 1. It was done. They were not going to advance. Brad Keselowski, just had a terrible race car and obviously cannot go anywhere. Now, the surprise here to me, I had Ty Gibbs and Martin Truex Jr. advancing. Martin Truex Jr. was going to advance, to be fair. He was there. He was okay until the speeding penalty. So that was very unfortunate. I thought Ty Gibbs would advance. Now, obviously where Ty Gibbs might have lost this out, he was running for a win at Atlanta before he ended up finishing, I think it was 19th. So he fell back there those final 2 laps. He could look there as an area of contention. I feel like he's a good road course racer. He didn't perform as well as he thought he would at Watkins Glen. And again, he ran kind of top 15-ish, top 10 tonight, but he just didn't do enough. And the reason why is because Austin Cindric had a blinder. Alex Bowman had a blinder. Daniel Suarez in the first 2 races had a blinder. The guys that you were expecting to get eliminated, they did extremely well the first 2 races. And it put Ty Gibbs in a very tough position, and he gets eliminated. I think this is disappointing for Ty Gibbs. I've been very high on Ty Gibbs. You guys know this. I've been very high on Ty Gibbs. I think it's disappointing that in his second year, he has still not won, and he is eliminated in the round of 16. Because I think the round of 16 is the easiest round. You really should not get eliminated. If you get eliminated in the round of 12, that's understandable, because 8 drivers advance. Okay, I feel like only 10 to 12 drivers should get into the playoffs anyways. So if you are getting eliminated in the round of 16, that is something that really should not happen. Martin Truex Jr. in his final season, he just kind of fell off here, which was unfortunate. I mean, he did make mistakes throughout the entire season, but I thought he'd have the speed. He had the speed tonight. He just didn't have a good race at Atlanta. He didn't have a good race at Watkins Glen, and he had a good race tonight and then made a stupid mistake. So those 2 Joe Gibbs Racing guys are out, which leaves the top 12, which is Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Blaney, Hamlin, Elliott, Logano, Cindric, Suarez, Bowman, and Briscoe. Now, the bottom 4 is what I'm going to focus on here because Briscoe, Bowman, Suarez, and Cindric. I feel like a lot of those, Suarez and Cindric off the bat, we expected Cindric to advance. We talked about that. You and I, guys, we talked about this. Cindric had the racetracks. He had the racetracks to help him in round 1. Now, does he have the racetracks in round 2? Technically, he does. He has Talladega, which is a super speedway, and he has the Roval, which is a road course. Those are his strengths. And you have seen that the wild card races tend to be the plate race and then the road courses. Road courses can be crazy because of the stage racing. So as crazy as it sounds, Austin Cindric has a chance to make the round of 8, but I would not be expecting him to do that. You'd expect him to get eliminated. You would expect Daniel Suarez to get eliminated. Alex Bowman, I know everyone's big on Alex Bowman. He had a great run. Again, compared to everyone he's running against, you would expect Alex Bowman to get eliminated. And Chase Briscoe, it's been a nice story with SHR, but again, you would expect him to get eliminated. The thing that might save these guys genuinely is the layout of this round, because you have the road course and you have the super speedway. It can be random. It can cause chaos. And the points are not too tight or not too spread out. You can see Cindric, Suarez, Bowman, and Briscoe -4, -6, -7, -7. And then you have up to 5th place. Ryan Blaney is only 11 ahead of the cut line. So it's pretty narrow. It's only really Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell that are like way up there with Tyler Reddick as well. Regular season champion, got a lot of points. it should be, Larson has another advantage of he can literally DNF a race and he'd still be okay. So it's going to be a fascinating round of 12, but just to be safe, to me personally, I have to go with the top 8 all making it. I mean, those are the 8 best teams. Logano, Elliott, Hamlin, Blaney, Byron, Reddick, Bell, Larson. There is no question about it. Those are the best teams. Those are the best drivers. They should advance to the round of 8. And if they don't, they should be disappointed. All 8 of them. If one of them don't make it, they really should be disappointed. Joey Logano with his experience and everything. And again, there's a plate race right there. He has shown a little bit more speed later in the season. He should make it. Chase Elliott, finished battling for the regular season championship. My championship pick, Denny Hamlin, survives. He had 2 horrible races in this round, but I had confidence he would survive. And he ended up surviving. Now, he just simply can't. Kansas should be a good race for him. And then the problem with Denny Hamlin comes at Talladega. Which is weird because Denny Hamlin is amazing at plate racing. But in the next-gen car and with the Toyota not having the numbers, he is going to need help from his Toyota teammates. He's going to have to be aggressive and maybe help with the Chevys to try to combat the Fords. He needs to go get stage points. He needs to be aggressive at Talladega. And then, if you don't get a good finish at Talladega, it's fine. The thing about Denny Hamlin at plate racing is he'd win the stages. He would get the stage points. He'd be aggressive. He needs to get that going in the next-gen car. He needs those stage points at Talladega to not put him in stress, basically, when it comes down to the Roval. So it'll be a fascinating round of 8. And again, next week should be a very fun race. Back to tonight, it was what can you say, guys? It was just a boring race. It was a boring race, and the only thing that was really entertaining was just kind of seeing who would make the next round. But NASCAR, they really, I'm telling you guys, they really, really, really need to sit down, honestly, starting now. But in the winter months, they have to come up with a plan that most likely they can't implement, next season. But the plan has to come into motion in the winter, in the off season. There needs to be changes to the next-gen car. If you can't change it enough, you got to think outside the box. You have an Xfinity Series car that is terrific at every type of racetrack. I don't think it is unreasonable to introduce that race car for a certain type of discipline of racetrack, whether it be short tracks or road courses. You've done it before in 2007 with the COT. I understand that was a transitional year to get the car tomorrow up to par, but I really think for the only thing about that would be cost. I don't know how much it would cost to have 2 different race cars for the teams and stuff. But the thing is, it's not a new car. It's the Xfinity Series car. So it would be a new car for some teams, I understand, and the cost of everything would be different, and that's a lot of logistics that, a lot of smart people have to sit down with. But you just simply can't leave this next-gen car the same. You cannot. The sample size is now too large. These are terrific racetracks. This is where NASCAR, the name of NASCAR, the reputation of NASCAR, the short tracks. This is what NASCAR is about. And you cannot put out a product out there where the car does not allow your drivers to put on a show. And simply put, we didn't talk about this during the summer because, guys, the summer doesn't have short tracks. Once you get out the beginning part of the season, the summer, you don't go to short tracks. You get back into the short tracks in the playoffs. That was on purpose. They saved the short tracks for the playoffs because the short tracks are the best tracks. And this race car is just not performing at them, man. So there's a lot of work to do for NASCAR. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Hopefully you enjoyed your night. Congratulations to Kyle Larson on one of the most dominating performances I've seen in NASCAR. Take care of yourselves. See you tomorrow. Peace out.